Madam Chair, you are now live.
Good evening. This is the Planning and Zoning Commission. It's June 22nd, and it's 6 p.m. Mountain Time. It's 8 p.m. where I am, but it's 6 p.m. Mountain Time. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Do we have a quorum?
I believe we do.
Yeah, I think you have all seven members present.
We do? Okay, thank you. Does anybody have a conflict of interest? Don't see anybody waving or saying anything. Okay. Next is the approval of the agenda. Need somebody to move and a second to approve the agenda.
This is Commissioner Guerrero. I will move to approve the agenda for this meeting.
Okay. Is there a second?
I second. Mr. Gordon, I second.
Okay, this has been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. David, can you call a roll call?
Yes, Madam Chair. Commissioner Gordon,
Here.
this is to approve the agenda, correct?
Oh, I'm sorry. She said attendance. I approve, yes.
Okay. Commissioner Muniz,
Yes.
Commissioner Guerrero,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes, I approve.
Commissioner Bennett,
Yes.
Commissioner Vega,
Yes.
and Chair Thomas.
Yes. So the agenda's been approved. Now we're moving to the approval of the minutes for May 24th and need a motion.
I have a correction.
Yes? Well, let's do the motion first and then we'll do the
Okay.
correction.
All right, I make a motion, we approve the minutes. This is Commissioner Gordon.
Your second?
Commissioner Bennett, I'll second it.
Okay, is there any discussion? You have something, Commissioner Gordon?
Yes, at the last meeting when I ran it, on several pages here, I've been referred to as Gondara. So they didn't do Commissioner Gordon, they do Commissioner Gondara. I don't know what it is, but I think that should be changed.
Is it only when it's you that it says Gondara?
Yes,
Okay, so it's easy to fix.
right.
Okay,
Chairwoman Thomas, I also have my name was left off the minutes from last time.
okay, your name was left off the minutes. Any other changes?
No, but I kind of want to go back and reread the minutes now,
See what else you could find.
right?
Okay, how do we take care of this, Catherine? It's just, it's minor things. Can we just ask the minutes people to fix those things?
Yes, there just needs to be a motion to rectify those issues, and then you can accept the minutes with those amendments.
Okay, so we need a motion to change Harvey's name and to put our new member's name on.
This is Commissioner Gordon. I make a motion that we make those changes.
Is there a second?
Second. This is Commissioner Vega.
Okay, Commissioner Vega, so that were you just not listed or were you not on any time when you talked or?
Just not listed as present in the beginning.
Okay, all right. So can we have a roll call on this motion to change the minutes?
Yes. Commissioner Gordon,
Yes,
Commissioner Muniz,
Yes.
Commissioner Guerrero,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Bennett,
Yes.
Commissioner Vega,
Yes.
and Chair Thomas.
I abstain, I wasn't there.
Okay. Do you want me to take a roll on the?
Yeah, now we're gonna go
motion?
back to the original motion to approve the minutes and any other discussion or corrections before we do a roll call? No, hearing none. Okay, roll call.
Okay, Commissioner Gordon,
yes,
Commissioner Muniz,
Yes.
Commissioner Guerrero,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Bennett,
Yes.
Commissioner Vega,
Yes.
and Chair Thomas.
I abstain again because I wasn't there. Okay, the minutes are approved. Postponements, we don't have any. Public participation, do we have anything other than things that apply to particular items? Catherine?
No, not that I'm aware of. Commissioners, Chair Thomas, I do want to point out that I do not see the consultants for the old business item listed on our attendees list. We have contacted them via email to make sure that they are joining us. So I would recommend maybe postponing that towards the end of the agenda, or at least until they're able to join and we're finished with another agenda item.
Yeah, okay.
All right, then this is Commissioner Gordon. I'll make a motion that we reorder the agenda and putting this item perhaps at the end or at some time if they come in, and we can insert it before we finish these two items.
Okay, is there a second?
This is Commissioner Bennett, and I'll second it.
Okay. Okay, can we have roll call to move the Las Cruces Innovation Industrial Park item to the end or at least later in the meeting?
I'll go ahead and take a roll. Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner Manise,
Yes.
Commissioner Guerrero,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Bennett,
Yes.
Commissioner Vega,
Yes.
and Chair Thomas.
Yes. Okay, so we'll skip old business for now and move on to new business. And the first item is the 275 North Main. I need a motion and a second to approve the 275 North Main request.
All right, this is Commissioner Gordon. I make a motion that we approve item number 1 under new business.
This is Commissioner Guerrero. I will second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve item number 1. Is there a presentation?
Madam
Catherine?
Commission, there is a presentation.
Hello, sorry, I didn't hear that.
No, I'm sorry. Madam Chair, Commission, there is a presentation.
You're doing the presentation, John Castillo?
Yes, my name is John Castillo for the record.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is everybody able to see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
So today we'll be presenting an infill development request, a sign request for a property located at 275 North Main. The current conditions of the property, it's located on the west side of North Main Street. It's located at the corner of Main Street and Las Cruces Avenue. Is zoned DDC MS, which is our Downtown Development Code Main Street District. And been recently redeveloped a commercial building, and the current business in there is called Select Realty. There's an aerial image. So the proposal is for to allow an attached corner sign and a wall sign. Currently, right now, under the DDC MS regulations, corner signs and wall signs are not permitted. The corner sign currently measures 30 square feet in size, and it will extend roughly about 2.5 feet from the wall. It will be about 10 feet clearance from the ground, and it's for the use of an office realty business. The analysis, there's no health, safety, or welfare issues identified. Main Street is where these types of signs are needed. The sign can promote economic vitality to downtown. It does not obstruct other businesses or their signs. The Downtown Development Code has sections in need of refinement, including the sign provisions. Amendments are currently being drafted and will be forthcoming to the Planning and Zoning Commission. As well as this is supported by Elevate Las Cruces Comprehensive Plan and the Downtown Master Plan. As you can see here, these are some of the photos. The photo in the center is the subject property. The photo on the left is signs that are similar in nature to what they're proposing, which is RAD Retrocade and the Rio Grande Theater. The photo on the left is going to be for their wall sign. It's going to be very similar to that of the gallery, which is directly next door to the proposed business. At the time of this presentation, there was notice sent to surrounding properties, but there was no input provided. Reviewers were sent to all relevant agencies and departments, all supported the infill development proposal. Staff recommends an approval with conditions based on the findings that the subject property was an existing vacant property building located within the IDO, making it eligible for the infill development process. The proposed IDP will allow for the continued redevelopment of vacant buildings within the established core of the city, based on the staff recommendation, a pedestrian hanging sign. Also be placed on the property in addition to a wall sign to provide pedestrian visibility. Also included with this is the IDP meets the intent of Elevate Las Cruces Comprehensive Plan and the Downtown Master Plan. It is compatible with adjacent uses and zoning districts. It meets the purpose and intent outlined in section 38-2 of the 2001 zoning code as amended, and is supported by the city's infill policy plan and fulfills the purpose of the Las Cruces Municipal Code section 2-382. Today, the options are to vote yes for approval, vote no to deny, or vote yes with conditions, and vote to table.
Thank you for that presentation. So, Wathai, did I understand that it would be similar to the other two signs on that block?
Madam Chair, you are correct. This last slide actually shows what they are proposing.
Yeah, okay. All right. Do the people who are proposing this, are they available? Do they want to say anything?
I believe they are here. I just can't see if they have their hands up.
Madam Chair, I can normally promote people to panelists, but for some reason, I can't right now. And I think perhaps maybe that's because I ended up leaving the meeting and coming back into the meeting. Let me see if anybody has their hands up, though. It does not appear. Oh, I can promote people now. It doesn't appear anybody has their hand up, but I do believe they are here.
Yeah, okay. Well, then we'll just go on to the commissioners and see if they have any questions that need to be answered by the people who are proposing this. So commissioners, anybody have anything to say?
This is Commissioner Gordon. On the screen right now, it shows this one thing to the left that says select. That's one sign. Is this little diagram to the right of it the second sign? Or is that the same sign with a side view?
Madam Commissioner, Commissioner Gordon, you are correct. The select, the sign on the left is going to be the corner sign that they're proposing. The sign on the right is their wall sign that they're proposing.
Okay, well, there's just no dimensions or anything on the second one. Well, I'm sure they're well within 100 feet, 100 square feet. So I just a question. It's not very clear as to what that thing was. I thought maybe it was just a side view of that one sign that says select.
No, it's two separate signs.
All right.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, I guess we'll have roll call.
Commissioner Gordon?
I did a site visit. There was basically no discussion. It does go along with Elevate Las Cruces. It does work within the IDP, and based on staff recommendations, I vote yes.
Commissioner Moniz?
I vote yes. I'm voting yes upon staff recommendations, and they're going to follow the conditions that they've been asked.
Commissioner Guerrero?
I vote yes as well, based on staff recommendations, site visit, and Elevate Las Cruces, and as well as I think this will just make downtown look even more vibrant. So, yes.
Commissioner Smith?
I vote yes, based on a site visit and also that it meets with compliance with the MPO thoroughfare plan.
Commissioner Bennett?
I vote yes. It meets neighborhood character and compatibility, as well as Elevate Las Cruces.
Commissioner Vega?
I vote yes. It complies with the downtown master plan and also based on site visit and staff recommendations.
Chair Thomas?
I also vote yes, based on a site visit and staff recommendations, and that we need more signs like that downtown. And I hope they get the downtown plan revised so that it's easier to have a greater variety of signs. Okay, so that passes, right?
Correct.
And Madam Chair, I do want to let you know that although they were having trouble logging in, they were able to log in. So the consultants for the West Mesa Industrial amendments have joined us. I will leave it at your discretion whether or not you want to hear them next or wait till the end of the agenda.
I think we'll go ahead and hear them next since they were first on the agenda. So, is there a presentation for that?
Madam Chair, yes, there is. And apologies for my troubles getting on tonight, but thought I'd started well in advance, but here I am.
Okay, and I need to swear you in, right?
Correct.
Do you swear and affirm that testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under penalty of law?
I do.
Thank you. State your name and proceed.
Will Gleason, principal with Decker Paris Sabatini, and good to be with you this evening. So let me go ahead and share my screen here.
Do we need a motion on this?
Yes.
All right, then this is Commissioner Gordon. I make a motion under old business that we approve item number 1.
Is there a second?
Commissioner Guerrero, I'll approve it. Oh, sorry, Commissioner Smith. Go ahead.
This is Commissioner Smith. I second the motion that we approve this item number 1.
Okay, then moved and seconded, and we're moving on now to the presentation. Thank you. Commissioner Gordon for getting me back on track.
Thank you. I have a brief presentation just to refamiliarize all of us with where we were with this, and then to focus on the framework plan itself. As you know, we've gone through the master plan, and that has gone to council. So, and that overall, you know, that we're really just trying to make this Las Cruces Innovation and Industrial Park working better and taking advantage of the good economic conditions that we are currently in. So we do think the master plan is really helping with improving its visibility, integration with the airport. We have some good strategies for promoting environmental and energy efficiency, and some good alliances to leverage for economic development. As you may remember, we had quite a bit of public outreach on this, most of it taking place last year. We had a number of stakeholder interviews, and this helped to inform not just the master plan, which was part 1, which you've already approved, but this part 2, which is the regulatory framework that is before us tonight. Part of this was also informed by a market and real estate analysis that was done by Economic and Planning Systems. which found that there's about an average absorption of a little over 100,000 square feet a year of industrial space. That's about 40% of the regional total, and that the Las Cruces Innovation Industrial Park has plenty of land still available to accommodate future industrial demand. We identified 3 high target industries: aviation, value-added agriculture, and advanced manufacturing. And just anecdotally, it seems like all these areas, and really advanced manufacturing, aviation, and agriculture are all areas where we're seeing strong demand across the state. So, but we do think you should also don't try to put all your eggs in one basket, pursue multiple industry sectors, and sort of spread out the chances of what types of business you're going to attract. And then the development strategy included a full-time project manager, streamlining the land transaction process, having a dedicated park website, and a branding strategy, all of which are underway. So, but tonight we're really here to talk about the regulatory framework, which we have resubmitted. We've worked with staff. We've made a lot of progress, and we've simplified it. We've made it more kind of aligned with the regulatory processes that the city's comfortable with. So I think that we're pretty close to what we need for your review and approval. So the table of contents hasn't changed that much. Sort of an overview: land uses, administration, general development standards, and definitions. And then just some of the highlights. We revised the land uses. So we really have these 4 basic districts. The red, the commercial, that's near the interchange, as you would expect. The purple, the manufacturing, that's focused south of I-10. The aerospace, that is more strategically located closer to the airport. And the value-added agriculture, which is on the south end of the park. And then we've simplified and broadened the use categories and updated conditional use standards associated with that. We've worked quite a bit with staff to make this as clear as possible and to really align with the way that the city sort of reviews and classifies different land use and different types of businesses. And then we've created some development standards that pretty basic, but I think will help elevate the quality of the park without adding undue cost for development. Some basic things about building orientation, on-site circulation, walkways, and some outdoor spaces for larger businesses. And we've really tried to separate the on-site standards and kept away from the standards that are more relevant to the public rights of way and the public realm. So we just pretty much we tried to really strip that out of here. And then as far as the architecture, we've updated the development, the architectural styles that were really out of date from the prior plan. And some basic requirements in terms of massing and screening for buildings. And then landscaping too, we think these are very reasonable requirements, 10% on site, some very doable stormwater management strategies, and then using the Las Cruces Airport landscape plan as a guide, but not tying it directly to that. And we really took some direction from Catherine on this in terms of what will work for Las Cruces. And then landscaping and parking lots, 1 tree for every 10 parking spaces, and that we're also encouraging but not requiring covered parking And really, as far as parking goes, one interesting standard is that we are saying you can supply the parking that you feel is needed for this business, and we are not imposing a parking standard on the park. And we're encouraging things like porous surfacing for portions of the parking lot to encourage more groundwater infiltration and reduce the demands on the stormwater management infrastructure. And then as far as definitions, we really worked closely to make sure that these were aligned with what's in the Las Cruces zoning code. And we only included unique definitions that were really particular to this plan. So our next steps, hopefully, are to go to council and get this ordinance adopted so that the park can take advantage of this and take advantage of opportunities that are with us today. So with that, I will stand for questions or sit, as the case may be.
Okay, do we have questions or comments from the commissioners? Nobody? I have a question on, on X page, it says X111. It talks about uses that are classified as instance may continue in perpetuity unless the lease ceases for a period of no less than 12 months. However, the use/structure cannot be expanded, enlarged, or extended. Can you explain why that is?
This is about grandfathering in uses that are not compatible with the adopted plan. And can I just go to that page? I think that might be helpful if I could do that.
It's page 11, X1.
Okay, let me stop sharing for a second. I'm going to pull up the plan itself. Let's see, I had that plan up before.
Will, this is Catherine. While you're looking into that, I will at least give some background in terms of our non-conforming clauses that we have in other portions of the code.
Okay.
So Commissioner Thomas and members of Planning and Zoning, we have a couple of special sections related to non-conformities. So those uses that were created legally, but perhaps don't conform with changes that occur to the code over time. We have it generally sort of a whole section of code that discusses it for most of the zones in the city. And then a couple of our overlays have special provisions regarding their own non-conforming language. And that would be the case with this. So that's just a little background about why that was included, so that we can address those types of uses that become non-conforming over time as codes change.
Are there some out there now that are non-conforming, and if so, are there very many of them?
Commissioner Thomas, Commissioner, I do not believe that there are very many out there. I think this is more it's sort of standard language that we put into a master plan in terms of how to deal with non-conforming uses. I don't know if Catherine, if you have anything to add to that, but I can't think offhand of any structures out there that would be non-conforming at this point.
Commissioner Thomas, members of the commission, there are a couple of small examples that I can think of, perhaps related to fencing or buffering, but no really large structures that come to mind in terms of being completely non-conforming. There may be some components of the site that are non-conforming that I think of in a couple of areas, but it generally is not a huge issue.
And so if they wanted to expand, they would have to come into conformity. Is that what would happen?
Commissioner Thomas, members of the commission, that's correct. And they can do that through a number of methods. They can either do improvements that bring them into compliance. They can request variances in accordance with our codes. They can request flexible development standards. All of those ways, those are all methods by which to come into compliance with the code.
Okay, so it's not going to handicap anybody too much. Okay, so my other comment, of course, is that I always worry about the fact that we have all these jobs way out on the edge of town and we don't have any housing, and it's hard to do live, work, play in this kind of situation. So I just want to say that going forward, I want to keep that in mind. Would be nice maybe at some point if we started to have some housing in that area so that it wasn't just jobs. And when I was the commissioner for District 6, I used to say, oh, fine, people in my district are the people who work on the west side of town, and they have to drive back to the east side every night. So let's think about having jobs in other places, and in the future, trying to combine living and working close to one another, if when possible. So I have to always bring that up because I think that's important. So, any other comments or questions from anybody? Okay, I guess we're ready for roll call. David, Weir?
Oh, I think Lavon has her hand up, so I don't know, maybe she has a comment.
Sorry, I don't have all of everybody listed here. Yes, Commissioner Muniz? I can't see her on my screen.
I think she's on mute.
Maybe she had to leave, like she said.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my question is, what do we have out there in manufacturing? I know there was a cheese company. And my question is, will this new development enhance what we already have? And how many vacancies are out there already? The plan looks wonderful. You know, you're saying restaurants, space work, manufacturing. We have buildings out there now. How many are eligible to be big enough for manufacturers? What is the city going to do to fill all these vacancies? You're going to build more and it's going to sit empty, or what? What plans does the city have to fill this development up, and how can it enhance what we already have?
Commissioner Muniz, members of the commission, I will actually defer to economic development, either Griselda Martinez or Celicia Villegas, to answer that question.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner. So there are plenty of plans in place that we are currently working on.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you state your name for the record, please?
I'm sorry, Celicia Villegas, Economic Development. We are currently working on a marketing strategy with our PIO office, Mandy Gus, and a consultant. We're getting ready to launch that. It's very exciting. We are utilizing some existing tenants out there. You're correct. We have the cheese factory. We have Premier Distributing as the trucking business, Alaska Structures as some of the big players out there. And we want to leverage on some of their successes to promote the industrial park further. We have been in discussions with city manager and community development, Mr. Larry Nichols, in looking at a process to prioritize businesses that are looking to locate to the industrial park, to better to walk them through the process and try to kind of handhold and make that process a little easier on them. I think that will help in attracting new businesses and larger businesses. We are in the middle of, we just applied for a certified site program where we would be able to market the parcels as pretty much shovel ready to move in. And that will assist in the time to market for these industries. So there's a lot of things, exciting projects we have going on. We're learning a lot about the land out there as far as infrastructure, being able to answer a lot of these questions that leads that come in have a lot quicker than we've had before. So I'm really excited about the progress that's been happening currently. I hope that kind of helps answer your question.
Commissioner Bernice, did you have any more to ask about?
No.
I have a question, Cecilia. Have you been in touch at all with Workforce Connection?
Personally, Commissioner Thomas, I have not, but we are working hand in hand with our business development department, Elizabeth Teeters. So she's handling more of the business recruitment side of things on that end. She is out this week, but definitely can touch base with her on her conversations with workforce, the workforce solutions.
Yeah, so any money, federal money that's available for training comes through Workforce Connections, and one of our problems sometimes in attracting industries is we don't have the skilled workforce that they need. So I think it would be good to set up something with them so that you're in conversation with them and about the kinds of businesses that might be coming in and what kind of skills they're looking for in workers, so that they can be working on that. So I can send a couple contact.
Chair Thomas, I don't mean to interrupt, but Dr. Griselda Martinez, who is the Director of Economic Development, does have her hand up, and I believe she may have something to contribute.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, yeah, I'm sure Griselda knows what I'm talking about.
Yes, good afternoon, PNC committee members, Madam Chair. Yes, to your question, yes, we are in close contact with Workforce Connections. We have been exploring different opportunities for us to partner. For instance, in the recent announcement of the expansion for Saputo, we made that connection between the company and Workforce Connections to ensure that we were utilizing the resources available. We also offered to Saputo to host a job fair for the jobs that they'll be hiring for in the near future. We also included Saputo's jobs as part of Jobs of the Week, as we have on a regular basis during council and work sessions. So we will continue to ensure that those connections are there. And also, we're planning to have a series of job fairs coming, starting in August, in partnership with Workforce Connections, and we'll make sure to reach out to our tenants at the industrial park and the airport as potential businesses part of the job fair. So we appreciate your offer, Madam Chair. We're working on that already.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your support. I'm trying to get them to get more organized in terms of the career pathways. And so anytime I can get direct information from companies and just specifics, I want to make sure that they get it. So thank you very much for picking that up. Hey, anything else?
Madam Chair, again, this is Catherine. I do want to just remind everyone that the ordinances that are being recommended this evening, you received two versions, one in your packet and one that I sent via email. They were very, very similar. There were just some minor clarifications on a couple of phrasings and a couple of changes on the maps. I can't say that it was substantive, but the one that you will be making a recommendation on was the one that was sent via email.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, I think we're ready for a roll call.
Hey, Madam Chair, this is for recommendation approval by City Council of the Las Cruces Innovation and Industrial Park Overlay Zone District regulations. Commissioner Gordon? You're on mute, sir.
Yes.
Commissioner Manise?
Based on?
Yes. And the reason I'm voting yes, because I think it'll enhance the entire area and make it come alive with jobs and good industrial jobs for people. We need jobs here.
Commissioner Guerrero?
I vote yes, based on the staff recommendations and also similar to Commissioner Muniz, jobs, but also diversifying our local economy a little bit. I'm a big supporter of that.
Commissioner Smith?
I vote yes, based on the staff recommendation and also with the further development on the west side of Las Cruces. I know the east side is really been taken off from a residential standpoint and from a commercial and business standpoint. I think important that side continues to develop also.
Commissioner Bennett?
I vote yes. I just think that this is fantastic. It's gonna do some great things for us. So I like where this is going, and I'm excited for what's to come.
Commissioner Vega?
I vote yes. Similar to Commissioner Thomas, though, I agree with all of her statements and would like to know or hope that there's some thought given to transit options outside of just a single driver driving a car, one person in one car going back and forth across town. So thank you.
Chair Thomas?
Yes, I vote yes. Also, I want to, it's really nice to see something happening out there between the airport and the industrial park. And it's the time it got some attention and looks like it's finally moving in a better direction. So, and I agree. I think, Commissioner Vega, that the economic development and the people working on this project have been in touch with a company that does provide van service. And so maybe we can at least not have so many single car drivers going out there. Okay, so I think that passes. And now we're ready for the last item. That would be item 2 under new business. I need a motion and a second to approve.
It's Commissioner Vega, I motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Commissioner Guerrero, I'll second it.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve item number 2 under new business. Is there a presentation?
Madam Chair, members of the commission, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
This is Vincent Benegas, interim planner for community development. I will be presenting the case for 1700 Arizona Avenue. It is an infill development proposal, and it's listed as case 21Z05000045. Current conditions involving this case, the property is presently zoned R1A. That's our single family medium density district. This location falls within our infill overlay district and is subject to following the IDP process as outlined in the zoning code. The property at present sits on the southeast corner of Arizona Avenue and Rio Grande Street. And this location, I might add, might be familiar to you all. There was an alternative plan that was brought before the commission late last year, which I'll get into in some of the history of this case. The property sits vacant at present and includes roughly 0.15 acres of land. And again, the surrounding neighborhood is predominantly single family in nature, single family detached housing. There are some alternative housing styles in and around the subject property, but the predominant style is single family. This is a zoning map showing the location of the property. The crosshatched polygon that you see there is the subject property, again, on the southeast corner of Rio Grande Street in Arizona. I want to point out that these two long parcels, which are not part of the subject property, will come into play in terms of the history, and I'll get to that in a little bit. They have since been replatted into one, so this map is a little dated, but it serves a purpose in talking to the historical aspect of the development. And as you can see, majority is R1A. You do have little blips of zoning R1B, which is typically tied to townhouse style development. You got some R2 on the far west side of the area. And you also have some PUD zoning southeast of the subject property. The aerial view confirms basically that the style of development is single family detached. Again, this is the subject property. The aerial view map is again dated. There is a single family home that is currently constructed. This includes those two townhouse lots that I've just identified. And so please consider them as one lot and consider the fact that this property directly east of the subject property is presently developed, having a single family detached unit on it. Okay, going to the history, back in 2007, this subject parcel was part of a larger acreage that was proposed to go through the approval process, in this case, the IDP approval process for a 6-lot, single-story townhouse style development or subdivision in this case. There was a variance or deviation to the R1A standards at that time that required consideration, and it talked to the issue of density. The density at that time was exceeded by 0.71 dwelling units, so that had to be a consideration as part of the request back in 2007. There was significant neighborhood protest, citing compatibility issues, not too far from what we heard on the previous case back in 2020. And not too different from what we've been seeing come in as of late regarding the subject proposal here tonight. As a result of the protest, Planning and Zoning Commission at that time requested that the applicant postpone further consideration of the matter, go back to the neighborhood and see if there was a middle ground with the proposed development. And in so doing, the applicant came back with a redesigned proposal, basically knocking down the 6 lots to 5 lots, 2 of which were the townhouse lots that I identified in the parcel slide, and 3 of the lots were detached units, or detached lots, I should say, for single family development. It was approved in December of 2007. And then, as we know, on November 24th of 2020, the single building quadplex version of what we're seeing tonight was presented to the Planning and Zoning Commission. And it basically sought to be allowed to construct roughly 5,700 square feet, 4 units, each having about 1,400 square feet, consisting of obviously livable area and single car garage for each unit. Again, with this proposal, there was significant protest from the neighborhood, citing compatibility with the neighborhood, existing style of the neighborhood development, the structure size. There was some, the 2-story aspect was concern of many of the residents not fitting in with the single story style of what you saw most out in the neighborhood. Increased traffic was also a concern. Additional noise being created from the proposed development was a concern, and also solar access. Ultimately, that proposal was denied by a vote of 3 in favor and 4 against. So what we have in front of us this evening is a proposal that again takes into consideration a single structure, in this case, a duplex unit, so 2 units being proposed instead of the 4 previously. It is a 2-story unit or building, roughly 27 feet in height. It consists of roughly 4,500 square feet, so a decrease in size from the previous version, if you will. And each unit is looking at roughly 2,250 square feet, and each unit will contain a 2-car garage. This style of development is what the New Urbanism, Congress for New Urbanism calls missing middle housing type. It's basically an attempt to introduce alternative single family or alternative residential styles in areas that are predominantly single family, and trying to bridge the gap in terms of housing supply and affordability, and also to introduce walkability into the equation to allow those individuals that occupy these structures a chance to walk to the stores and businesses and offices that they would need to go to at any given day. In terms of our Elevate Las Cruces comprehensive plan, the area is identified as an urban neighborhood, and as we know in reading the comprehensive plan, it includes a variety of residential housing types at a density of medium to high. It also encourages a mix of single-family detached housing types, including, of course, variations to the lot size, build-to lines, and other spatial characteristics as it relates to development. These are a table of deviations that are associated with tonight's request. Again, the R1A standard is what we're looking at. So we have 2 primary deviations, one dealing with density and one dealing with the number of units per lot. So in the R1A zoning district, the maximum density is 8 dwelling units per acre. Based on the fact that we're not dealing with a full acre and dealing with 0.16 basically acres of land, the calculation obviously goes up. So we're dealing with approximately 14 dwelling units per acre as calculated out. The number of dwelling units per lot in the code currently allows 1 unit per lot. They are requesting 2, and that it is a duplex style of development. There are 2 variances. These are administrative variances that are authorized in the Las Cruces design standards, and they pertain to the driveway that I will show you here in a little bit on their site plan. The driveway width, as identified in our design standards codification, points to the fact that the width of the driveway cannot exceed 27 feet. What is being proposed is 36.5 feet. And then the distance to the corner of the driving apron, I should say, to the corner is a minimum of 35 feet required. And what is being proposed is 17 feet 3 inches. Now, again, those two variance related matters go before the internal administrative process. In this case, it'll be traffic engineering. And in speaking with the traffic engineer that will be reviewing this matter, he did not see any significant concern with the request given the code and its requirements at this time. These items will be dealt with and formally reviewed closer to the building permit submittal step in the process. And so there's no disposition of approval or denial on those matters at this time. We have some photos. I'm sure most of you have taken a drive out there, if not previously into the previous proposal, this time around perhaps. But this is a photo on the far left looking west on Arizona Avenue. Generally speaking, where you see this utility pole over to further in the corner is the subject property. Right in here where you see part of this building, that's the single family home that was built on the replatted 2 townhouse lots. They were replatted back into one, if you recall. And so that's what that is reflecting. But again, the property, subject property is located in the corner. And extending further east up to the property line that's a border property line with this structure. The middle photo is looking south on Rio Grande Street. Again, here's the subject property. There are 2 other properties along Rio Grande after the subject property, corner property. And so I just wanted to reflect that after those 2 vacant lots beyond the subject property, you do start getting into some of the single family style development discussed here this evening. You do have curb and gutter and sidewalk along Rio Grande Street here. You have curb and gutter on Arizona, but no sidewalk along Arizona Avenue. At the time of building permit submittal, if this gets approved, the applicant will be responsible for including any missing sidewalk that is immediately adjacent to the property. And then finally, on the last photo to the right, you're looking southeast at the subject property from the intersection of Arizona Avenue and Rio Grande. You can see our sign that we put out there announcing the case, and just see a lot of vacant land in that immediate vicinity. So this is the site plan that was submitted for tonight's consideration. You can see, I'll speak to the site plan first. It is again on the corner property, corner of this intersection, Arizona and Rio Grande. The driveway that I briefly discussed is located here along Rio Grande Avenue. So access to the property will be from Rio Grande Avenue. And there will be, as evidenced by these floor plans, a singular access point to the first unit, or Unit A as it's identified on Arizona Avenue. Again, giving the appearance of a single family structure, and then a singular access point for Unit B on the south side of the property line, which is located in this facility here. It is a 2-story structure. The bottom obviously having the 2-part garage, upper portion having the bedroom, study area, or flex area, I think is how they refer to it. And the elevation of the proposed structure shown here. Several, not all, but several homes do have 2-car garages, and so I think that's what they're attempting to reflect in this elevation, and not showing any immediate access to the structure. So again, kind of implying that there's a possibility that this structure is a single family unit. In terms of public notice and input, reviews were sent to all relevant agencies and departments, and nothing came back citing any significant issues or concerns. We also sent out letters, both regular and certified letters pursuant to code, to the surrounding properties. And as of today, I've received 3 emails and 1 phone call protesting the case, 1 email supporting the case, and 2 phone calls that were neither for or against it, but asking for staff packet copy for their review. And given the previous submittal that involved the fourplex, the applicant was strongly encouraged to meet with the neighborhood and try to, again, seek middle ground, seek ways to resolve any concerns that the neighborhood had. And I'll let Mr. Noel speak to his experience with that. But in terms of a recommendation, staff is recommending approval. Again, the property is vacant and eligible for the IDP, and based on what has been submitted, certainly falls in line with what we feel the character of the neighborhood has become. And we also recognize that the comprehensive plan encourages the use of alternative housing styles and types and living arrangements. And this is one element of that. And follows the recommendation that encourages denser housing option within urban neighborhoods. And again, that's a comprehensive plan element there. And the proposal meets, again, as indicated, the comprehensive plan, the infill development overlay ordinance, and criteria for decision-making by the Planning and Zoning Commission, and follows in line with the power and authority of the commission for matters such as this. Your options here tonight, Madam Chair and Commissioners, is to vote yes and approve the request. You can vote no and deny the request. Staff would recommend that you provide new information with facts, and that the facts identified here tonight are for an affirmative vote. You can vote yes with conditions or vote to table the request. And that concludes staff's presentation at this time, and stand for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Venegas. Commissioners, anyone who would like to ask questions or make a comment? And I can't see everybody on my screen, so Catherine, you might have to point out if there's someone who wants to speak.
Commissioner Guerrero has his hand up.
Yes, thank you. So this is a perfect example of why minutes are so important to keep, because in that slide that said about how, like, given previous submittal protest and the applicant was strongly encouraged to meet with the neighborhood, I was trying to remember why that was. And so I remember this perfectly, like it just happened yesterday, but it was back in November of last year. This was presented. It was presented as a fourplex actually originally. And I was just looking at the minutes to make sure I had the right place. But there was a lot of contention from the neighbors, I remember. And I remember that was, there was some of the biggest complaints was, we'd rather, or not complaints, but suggestions that were made were prefer to have a duplex over a fourplex, kind of maximize the space. And so I am really glad to see that it looks like Mr. Knoll, who is the proponent, did take those things under consideration. Because there was like a petition for there was about 39 people that signed against it last time. And I think this was one of the latest, the cases that I've stayed the latest for in this commission. So I just wanted to throw that out there, just kind of remind everybody. I know, I think most of us were here. I don't think Commissioner Vega was here, but Commissioner Smith was in the notes as well. So, just a reminder that this is why minutes are so important, because I needed that refresher.
Chair, Commissioner Gordon also has his hand up.
Commissioner Gordon?
I happen to agree with Commissioner Guerrero that if we do remember what happened back in November, this originally was proposed to us as a fourplex. And I remember the complaints also with the fact of parking. which now I think that fear has been eliminated. There was also some comments and a lot of concern about, they thought perhaps with this being a fourplex, there was going to have to be rentals, and they were concerned about the type of rentals that might be, that there were other problems caused by that. Basically, with the additional amount of people, there would be traffic problems. But I think that this presentation of reducing the size now to a duplex with only the petitioner using one of them and his parents using the other. So I think he's very concerned, and I think he's interested in maintaining what he thinks is going to be very nice for the neighborhood. And I think he's tried to allay the fears of the neighbors that this was going to be a problem. And I think if we go back and remember that all the problems that were cited then, I think have been taken care of in what has been presented here tonight. So let's see what happens with Mr. Noel. I'm also concerned to see what if he has had any access to the neighbors, if he has any conversation, and what he has heard and learned. Also, I do believe also that the amount of people who were against this last time out was dramatically decreased to the point where it's just basically a letter from two people who live, I believe, at the same residence, and another one that came in today, and another email. And there are also the people who are in favor. And basically, I happen to. That's it. I think I've said how I feel about this at the moment. But I'm interested in hearing what the presenter has to say.
Anything else from commissioners before we turn to any kind of public or to the petitioner? Okay.
Chair, there are no other hands up from the commission.
Thank you, Catherine. So does the petitioner want to say anything?
Commissioner Thomas, I've allowed Mr. Noel to speak.
Pardon? What did you say?
I've allowed Mr. Noel to speak.
Okay.
Hello, everyone.
So I need to swear you in. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under penalty of law?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah, I just want to wish everyone a happy Tuesday. So after November happened, I definitely went around and I looked at the neighborhood, made sure what could be compatible, took in everybody's kind of concerns. I realized that maybe a fourplex would not be the best for the neighbors in general. So I went around and I really did my research. I looked for kind of the aesthetics of the neighborhood. I was able to find that there are some houses that are, even though they're single family, there are 2-story. One is literally right in front of the property that I own. Let's see. Then directly across, maybe 2 houses down. I don't know if Mr. Vincent calls that a townhouse or a duplex, but there is a unit or a building that has two sides to it, joining with the wall. And I really try to go around and kind of take into consideration what would be possible, and taking the neighbors into consideration. Even though I had tried, I guess my drive and passion got the best of me for a fourplex. Let's see. And then I did reach out to the Sosa family. I went ahead and tried to, talk to them, see what opinions they would have on a duplex. And they kind of gave me the same answer, knowing kind of the aesthetics, the fact that there are a townhouse or a duplex, I don't know how you call that. Nearby, there are 2-story houses in and around the neighborhood. There's even a church there. And the fact that, the variances for this property would be smaller. There's not, I believe back then there was a variance on the backyard, front yard, amount of dwellings, basically everything. And even though I try to accommodate back then, yeah, I believe this is possible, and I hope that it gets approved. And yeah.
Thank you for all the work that you've done on this. So Catherine, is there any more public other than what we've already read or heard about?
Chair Thomas, there are several attendees. No one has their hand up at this point in time. We also have somebody who is on by phone, who may or may not wish to speak. They said they would email me if they did wish to speak, because of course they can't raise their hand via their phone. As I'm looking, nobody else has raised their hand. And so I will leave that up to you. And I will also check my email to make sure that I didn't receive one.
I believe for people on the phone, just for anybody that doesn't know, I think it's *6 to raise your hand, just so you know.
Oh, that's fantastic information. Thank you.
So do we have anyone?
Nobody is raising their hand, Commissioner Thomas.
Okay. Well, then we'll go back to the commission. Any further comments or questions from commissioners? Okay. See none.
Commissioner Gordon, I have my hand up.
Okay.
Just to Mr. Noel, I just have one question. It is still your intent to have your parents occupying the residence next door to you?
Yes, if that's permitted and if they're willing to. Yes.
Well, are they going to, or are you planning on, if they are not, have they definitely committed to you, or if there is the other option of you renting this out now? The last time you were here a year ago and back in November, it was your intent. The reason that you did this was to help you finance the cost of putting up the building. And you intended to have renters so that would help to defray the cost. And you also mentioned at that time you were going to have your parents living in one of the units. Now it's just 2 units. One you will be occupying. And have your parents definitely committed to moving into the second one?
Currently, that's still a plan. Yes.
All right. Well, thank you.
And that's why we try to make it look like one house also.
I understand. I appreciate your answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I guess we're ready for roll call.
Okay, Madam Chair, this is for approval of the IDP at 1700 Arizona. Commissioner Gordon?
I did a site visit. I think it's compatible. Well, I think it takes care of the IDP problem. Not the problem, but having to take care of satisfying that need. There is definite commitment to elevate Las Cruces to generate some improvements. I think this will be a nice addition to the neighborhood. I think the discussion was fine. And staff, I agree with staff recommendations. I just hope that this goes through as planned, and I wish the gentleman success, and I therefore vote yes.
Commissioner Moniz?
I'm going to vote no, because the majority of the area is R1, and there's people who've built their single family homes. And I think we have lots of high density building going on in the city. So my answer at this time is no.
Commissioner Guerrero?
Yeah, so last time I voted no, and again there was just a number of concerns, and I'm not seeing those concerns. So I really appreciate just again, this from Mr. Knoll, just really appreciate the fact that you took a lot into consideration. And maybe it's, now it's just going to be you and your parents. Maybe someday you'll get to rent it out. That's totally up to you. But all that to be said, I vote yes. I feel like, like you did take under consideration, and as well as it, I believe it actually, as a duplex, it does fit with the neighborhood as well. And yeah, that's it.
Commissioner Smith?
Based on staff recommendation and also previous site visit, I vote yes. And partly adding to that, just 2 blocks away from me, there are similar style homes being built, duplexes, and I live in, a very old home. And so, the addition of this type of housing hasn't taken away from, just the neighborhood, the older homes that are here. Plus, with the need for affordable housing in the city, I live downtown. I like seeing people, continuing to want to live downtown, particularly, just a mix of younger people, older people, to really keep, downtown and the continuation of revitalization of downtown. So I think this design that he has come up with, this plan,
We're losing you.
Okay. Commissioner Bennett?
I vote yes. It meets Elevate Las Cruces, the staff recommendation. I think he did, come together and put something that kind of meets the neighborhood kind of halfway with the duplex instead of the quadplex. And we're filling a vacant property. So I vote yes.
Commissioner Vega?
Based on the staff recommendations and the walkability of the area, adding some denser housing, actually I'm supportive of it. It fits the Elevate Las Cruces plan. And it sounds like, I wasn't here for the November meeting, but it sounds like significant changes were made to support the neighbors' recommendations. So I vote yes.
And Chair Thomas?
I vote yes because of what we're looking for in terms of Elevate Las Cruces and also in our infill policy and work we're trying to do in that area to increase the density some in order to support South Solano and El Paseo. And I live in a duplex in a neighborhood with a lot of townhomes and single family apartment building, some very expensive single family, $600,000-$700,000. So I live in a neighborhood with wildly diverse types of housing, and it works very well. And I happen to know that in Las Cruces we have quite a bit of affordable housing at the very low end, and we have lots and lots of housing at the very expensive end, but we have hardly anything in the middle. And so I'm a big proponent of missing middle housing, and I hope this will be a good something that we can look at and see in order to show how this kind of missing middle housing can work. So I vote yes as well. So that passes 6-1. And now we're on to what's next on the agenda.
You have,
I lost my agenda. Oh, here it is. Okay. That was the end of the new business. Commission commentary. Anybody have any comments to make?
I do. It's Commissioner Gordon.
Go ahead.
All right, I have 2 items. Number 1, I just have to just say that in trying to find 275 North Main Street was almost somewhat of a hassle. And the reason is, as you drive through the city, And if you try to identify what the address is on any building, you rarely see a number. And luckily, if you find a street sign that shows you such and such a street, number 200, and then the next block it says such and such a street, 300, well, then you can take a chance that somewhere between 200 and 300 might be the number you're looking for. I don't see any reason why city council can't, or even community development can sort of generate the idea of making it mandatory for buildings to have numbers on it. When I lived in Florida and I worked with, I was on the Palm Beach County government. I worked as the administrative assistant to the Palm Beach commissioner. This was one of the items that was brought up, and it was passed unanimously. It would be a great help for people trying to find what they're looking for. And you go out and try it sometime and see how difficult it can be. Also, in relation to the same thing, relating to the same thing, there's no reason, and when I lived also in Florida, and even if you go to Tucson, you'll be driving down the street, say, for example, there'll be a sign that says such and such a street, and that's the next street that you're going to come to. So you don't have to wait till you're just 50 feet away from it, trying to read a sign and worrying about traffic coming to an intersection, that you at least know which street you're coming to. Perhaps that should also be something that should be identified and maybe considered. It would help a lot of people to navigate. That's the first item. The second item, David, I know I asked you this the other day, but just as a reminder, if you please could try to get us that list. Thank you.
That was your list of names and phone numbers and contact information, right? Okay.
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon, this is Catherine. I have asked our admin assistant to prepare those for you and send them your way. And I will ask her where she is in that process and be sure to provide those to you shortly.
Yeah, that should go to the whole commission.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, we would really appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Yes, and it would helpful if you put Adrian's contact information as well. Sometimes I needed to get a hold of him today. Any other commission commentary?
Chair Thomas,
Yes,
our director also has his hand up, Larry Nichols.
Yes, staff announcements, go right ahead.
Good evening, Commissioner, Chairman and Commissioners, Larry Nichols, Community Development. I do have a few announcements for staff, but first of all, I would like to answer Commissioner Gordon's concern about building addresses, and we need something there to assure that happens. Language is in our building code. I think we do a pretty good job inspecting for that when on our final inspections before we issue certificates of occupancy. In the residential, it's a little more not as well done, but they do publish those addresses on the curb in most of our subdivisions. But answering your question, Commissioner Gordon, that is in our code, our building code. We will do a better job of assuring those addresses are on buildings. For one thing, it has a lot to do with public safety, response for the fire department, the police department. So we even have in the code, it even gives the height of the letters, that they need to be contrasting to the background. So we'll do a better job on inspecting and for the addresses. I share your concern. I've experienced it myself.
I think, excuse me, Larry, it's really the problem is with the older buildings, not the new ones.
Yes, sir, that's correct. But we need to go back and revisit that and get code enforcement to help me with that. To go and visit existing structures and get their addresses on the building. It's important. You're right, sir.
Madam Chair, this is David Weir. There's an addressing ordinance that the address needs to be either posted on the building or painted on the curb of the street in front of the building. So there are several places where addresses required. And as Mr. Nichols said, we can work with code enforcement on those activities.
Thank you. Did you have something else, Mr. Nichols?
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and Commissioners. For the record, Larry Nichols, Community Development. I do have 3 items I'd like to call it for the good of the order for the commission. First is City Hall reopening. The city manager has declared that we'll be reopening on July the 1st. This is a result of the county and the city meeting the public health classification of nearly 60% for vaccinations. And so that's going to enable the Planning and Zoning Commission to meet in city chambers for, I believe it's the July 20th meeting. I think that's the third Tuesday in July. But the main thing is that we'll be back in chambers, and I know everyone is looking forward to that. The next item I have is Community Development Department. Over the last month and a half or two, we've been experiencing some reassignment, some reorganization with our department. I think I mentioned last time that the Community Improvement Program in Community Development has been transferred to the Economic Development Department, and they're working with the Economic Development at this time. We still do a lot of coordination, and we still, because Community Development, Economic Development are like peas and carrots. We're all in the same, we're all together on this, on how we're developing our community. And then again, another item, we've lost our senior planner, Sharjana Basnet, has been reassigned to the city manager's office. Her new title will be performance officer. She'll be seeing how all departments are working with the Elevate Las Cruces comprehensive plan within their departments and their programs. So we'll be recruiting for another senior planner. That advertisement will be going out shortly. Then the last item that I wanted to visit with you about is that we all are aware that the New Mexico State Legislature this last session had approved House Bill 2, which was the cannabis, they call it the cannabis bill, which gave different, different use of cannabis, recreational use, as well as medical use is going to be, it's going to require the city Community Development Department, city manager's office, the legal department to begin to compose and develop a cannabis ordinance. And then once we have that developed, we're working very energetically on it right now. But once that is put in draft form and presentation form, we think it will be about August of this year, of course. And that will come before the PNC for your review and your recommendation for city council consideration. The target date is that we have the initial ordinance on for September the 1st for cultivation and for a recreational personal use. Then by January of 2022 will be the remainder of the ordinance, and that will involve the more commercial endeavor and the more larger scale cannabis development. But we'll be doing outreach as well, public outreach on this new ordinance. Mr. Ware and Miss Harrison Rogers, Catherine, they're working extensively on this with the city manager's office, and it's is coming together quite quickly. Those are my announcements for the good of the order, Madam Chairman, and thank you for the time. I yield the floor back to you.
Thank you for all those exciting announcements, Mr. Nichols.
Madam Chair, we do have a couple of people with their hands up. They've been waiting patiently.
Okay.
Commissioner Guerrero, and then we also have a member of the public who has their hand up, William Ross.
Okay. So Commissioner, you want to go first?
Yeah, so I just wanted to make a comment about as we are preparing to get back in person together, and I know we're all super excited about that. One thing that's really been on my mind is just like how more accessible Zoom and other virtual platforms have made it for people to participate in the government process in general and just be more active in their community. So I just wanted to throw this out. I don't know if maybe, I don't know if it's like way above our wheelhouse or the city's been thinking about it. I've heard that I think the New Mexico House is planning next year to kind of have like a hybrid session still, where they'll still allow people to do call-ins for public comment. Of course, when I heard about this was way before restrictions were going to be lifted, and people still weren't sure about when vaccines were all going to be available. So it's been a while. So that the plan may have changed. But I do, as much as I really want to be in the same room as you all, and I'm super excited about that. I think, we definitely want to honor, sometimes people can't make it to a meeting when they don't know when they're going to speak. And it might be easier for them, like, people with children or elderly individuals may not be able to make it to a meeting. It might be easier for them to call. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Maybe this is part of a larger conversation that the city can have in the future about accessibility. But yeah, I'm just excited to see your faces again in person and not in front of my computer.
Thank you for that. Commissioner Smith, did you want to say something about that?
No, but I just, I kind of do agree with Commissioner Guerrero about being excited to finally meet in chambers in person, get to meet everyone, face to face. However, I work for the Bureau of Land Management, and I'm a wildland firefighter and also a fire information officer. And as you know, wildfires are starting to heat up in the West. And I am hoping to be here for that very first in-person meeting, but I can make no guarantees going into the month of July. But I am excited, as Commissioner Guerrero said, to actually meet in person, meet in chambers for that first in-person meeting. And I'm crossing my fingers that I will be here, and maybe I'll get called out on the fire assignment after July 20th.
Thank you. We hope to see you. And there was a member of the public, Catherine?
I've allowed them to talk. It's Mr. William Ross.
Hey, Mr. Ross, did you want to comment on something? Should I swear you in?
Well,
it's just a general comment.
Just a general comment in response to Commissioner Gordon's concern about the addressing in the downtown area on Main Street. I'm the managing member of the LLC that operates the building at 275 North Main.
Mm-hmm.
I think downtown, we did have numbers on the door, and the tenant may have possibly removed those numbers from the door, but it's something that we want to design into the building. Another issue that I've run into while walking up and down the street, a lot of people are confused as to the numbering, primarily because Griggs Street is the east and west corridor, which separates North Main from South Main. So as you proceed north on Main Street from Griggs, you're going 100 up. Mm-hmm. And as you proceed south on Griggs Street, you're once again going 100 south. And so people looking for 200 South Main Street are wandering around in the North Street section of the street, not realizing that there's a dividing line. So I would encourage, when looking at encouraging property owners and tenants to address their buildings, to also incorporate the north and south main portion of the address on the building itself. And that's my concern as well. And I will definitely be addressing that issue on my building. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's useful information, and maybe we can get the city to put something up about North Main this way and South Main that way, and that would help people in the future. So, but if you've ever tried to find anything in Santa Fe, you know it's much worse there than it is in Las Cruces. They don't have any numbers on buildings, it seems. So if there aren't any more comments, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Commissioner Gordon, I make a motion, we adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second it so we can all go grab dinner.
Yeah. Okay. You can just by voice say yes, and we'll adjourn. Everybody ready to adjourn?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you
for being here.
All right.
Good
Have a
night.
good night, everyone.
Bye. Good night, everyone.